Hello and welcome to another informative clip on public policy. The figure you see here is what resembles the policy cycle, a concept we've discussed earlier during this course. According to this cycle, policies go through different phases, 4 different phases to be precise. In this clip, I would like to discuss the second phase of the cycle. The second phase is about two important elements. On the one hand, it's about what policies are being formulated. Policy formulation. And on the other hand, it's about the adoption of those policies. That is what we call decision making. This clip focuses on the first matter, policy formulation. I would like to explain this concept using one specific example, and this is the example I'm going to use. This world map shows the legal drinking age per country. For every country, you see how old you should be in order to be able to legally purchase and consume alcohol. For example, if you are in France, you should be 18 to consume and purchase alcohol. If you are in the States, for example, you should be 21. Until recently, the Netherlands pursued a very liberal drinking policy because until 2014 people were allowed to drink in Holland when they had reached the age of 16. As you can see on this map, almost no country in the world has the same policy. Most of them have set their legal drinking age on 18. And by now the Netherlands is one of them because recently the Dutch government decided to raise the legal drinking age from 16 to 18. Now, this clip is about policy formulation. So a fair question to ask is, why did the Dutch government decide to formulate this new regulatory policy? Obviously, there's more than one reason. An important one is that over the years, Dutch youth started to drink more and more. Recent studies reveal that in comparison to other European countries, Dutch children between 12 and 16 drink the most, with all the harmful consequences. In order to tackle this social problem, the government aimed at lowering alcohol consumption under Dutch youth in the coming years. And as we know by now, one of the main measures they took was to legally prohibit drinking before the age of 18. Okay, what this example shows is that the formulation of a policy is mainly about three things. It's about examining the nature and scope of a social problem that forms a reason to propose new policies in the first place. Secondly, it's about setting social goals. Based on that problem, you need to think of the goals you want to achieve, what you want to change in society. So goals you want to achieve. And finally, but most importantly, policy formulation is about thinking of different measures needed to achieve the goals you've set. It's about measures that need to be taken in order to tackle the problem and bring the goal you've set closer. Now, when it comes to the latter, policy measures, we are able to distinguish between different types. 4 different types to be precise. One type you already know. Raising the drinking age to 18 years is an example of authority. This type of measure is about rules that prescribe what behavior is legal and what is not. But setting rules is not the only way the Dutch government tries to lower alcohol consumption among Dutch youth. They, for example, also use TV commercials to emphasize the harmful effects of alcohol use. This is an example of what we call nodality. This type of measure is about information. The government tries to stimulate people to behave differently by spreading information. Furthermore, the Dutch government hands out fines to bars, supermarkets and cafes that do sell alcohol to people younger than 18. This is an example of what we call treasure. This type of measure is about money. The government tries to stimulate certain behavior through financial incentives. And finally, there's the measure called organization. It's a type that does not really fit the example of the legal drinking age. This type of measure is about the direct provision of social goods and services. Classic examples are the military that provide national defense or the provision of public education. All in all, 4 types of measures to tackle social problems. Or in other words, 4 different instruments governments can use to achieve policy goals. So, policy formulation is about tackling social problems by setting goals and finding the most effective measures to achieve the goals you've set. Now, this might give you the idea that policy formulation is solely an analytical matter. You simply find the best solution to a social problem, and that's that. But that's not the entire story. Policy formulation is not only about logic. Please be aware that in the face of policy formulation, different actors try to influence what policies are formulated. Political parties, for example, they try to bring about those policies that fit their beliefs, their ideology best. And the same goes for interest groups. Take, for example, the hospitality industry, cafes, bars, discotheques and the like. They are obviously not happy with the policy that raises the legal drinking age. After all, raising the age would mean less people to sell their alcoholic beverages to. And so the interest group of the hospitality industry in the Netherlands, called Royal Dutch Horeca, try to influence the policy-making process in order to prevent the legal drinking age from being raised. As we now know, their efforts, however, didn't turn out to be successful. All right, that's it for now on policy formulation. But as you know, the second phase of the cycle is more than policy formulation alone. Because once policies are being formulated, they need to be adopted in order to implement them. The adoption of a policy proposal in order to turn them into binding decisions is what we call decision making. Please find a separate clip on that subject on Feedback Fruits.